Space is silent, but Jack Carter's ship was not. The Sparrowhawk, a patched-up Earth salvage cruiser, rattled like an old washing machine. Jack, a tall man with a crooked smile and grease-stained jumpsuit, slammed the console with the side of his fist. "Stupid navigation system," he muttered. "Always freezing near asteroid belts. He didn't belong here. Sector was off-limits for humans Earthian space." Jack was only here because he'd picked up a strange distress signal. Curiosity had a habit of dragging him into trouble. The message was short and garbled. "Ship down. Life support failing. Coordinates 445.9. It wasn't human. The voice had an elegant rhythm, and the language was Zyrethian. That alone should have made Jack turn back. He changed course, whispered a quick "don't kill me" to the universe, and hit the thrusters. The wreck was floating between two broken moons, half hidden in a cloud of red dust. It was a Zyrethian Royal Cruisers, leak, silver, and way too fancy for a single pilot. Jack docked the Sparrowhawk and entered the broken ship with his helmet on and weapon drawn. "Anyone alive?" he called out, stepping over shattered tiles and blinking consoles. A noise soft and wet came from the next room. He moved carefully. When he turned the corner, he froze. A woman lay on the floor, bleeding from her side. Her silver armor was cracked, her long black hair tangled around her. One glowing eye looked up sharp, proud, full of fury. She raised a curved blade to his neck. "I will not be taken alive," she hissed. Jack raised both hands, dropping his gun. Hey. I'm not here to fight. I'm just helping." She didn't lower the blade. "I don't need help from a Terran." Jack rolled his eyes. "You're bleeding to death." "Let me help before your pride kills you," she growled, and then everything went dark. She'd fainted. Jack didn't waste time. He pulled out his emergency med kit, sealed her wound, and injected her with a human-made stabilizer. It worked. Her vitals stabilized, breathing slowed, her body relaxed. He dragged her back to the Sparrowhawk and took off just before a wave of debris slammed into the wreck. When she woke up, she was in Jack's bunk wrapped in a blanket, glaring at the ceiling. "You violated royal boundaries," she said coldly. Jack, sipping coffee nearby, laughed. "You're welcome." She sat up quickly, then winced in pain. What did you inject into me? Human meds? Nothing fancy? You could have killed me. Do you know who I am?" "No idea," Jack said, leaning back in his chair. "Alien in need. I help. That's the job." She looked at him like he was a new species. "I am Varelli, first daughter of High Empress Kythal of the Zyrethian Empire. You have touched my blood, carried me in your arms, and administered life-sustaining medicine. According to the Zyrethian Code of Honor, you have claimed my life debt." Jack blinked. "Come again?" She stood, towering over him, her expression unreadable. "You have saved me. You are now my chosen consort." Jack choked on his coffee. "Wait, what?" "Consort, as in marriage, unity, political bond." Oh, hell no. Before he could argue, a loud alarm blared through the ship. "Unidentified fleet approaching," the ship's AI said, through the window. Jack saw them, dozens of Zyrethian warships closing in. A voice came through the communicator. "This is Commander Shira of the Zyrethian Royal Guard. Stand down and prepare for boarding." Jack looked at Varelli, panic rising. "Please tell them I'm not kidnapping you," Varelli smirked. "You're not. You're my future husband." When the guards stormed in, weapons raised, Varelli stepped forward. "This Terran saved my life," she declared. "He is now my bonded consort. Honor him." There was a moment of stunned silence. Then, one by one, the armored soldiers lowered their weapons and bowed to Jack. He raised his hands awkwardly. "Guys, I think there's been a mistake." No one listened. Within the hour, Jack's ship was docked aboard the flagship Zakalarith, a flying city made of silver towers and glowing runes. Jack stood in front of an audience chamber filled with alien nobles. Varelli stood beside him, now in full ceremonial armor. She looked radiant, confident, and completely at ease. He, on the other hand, was sweating through his jumpsuit. The Empresses, Envoy stepped forward. The princess has declared a bond. Do you accept the honor of consort human? Jack opened his mouth to speak, but Varelli spoke first. He has accepted. It was mutual. Jack whispered, "Wait, what?" She leaned toward him and whispered back, "Rejecting me now would be a royal insult. It could start a war. Just smile." Jack looked out at the dozens of watching aliens, all dressed in shining robes, eyes glowing. He smiled. Later, in the royal quarters, Jack finally exploded. "This is insane. I fix a hull leak and now I'm someone's husband." Varelli folded her arms. "You saved my life. It means more than you understand in my culture. There's got to be a way out." She raised an eyebrow. "There is. But it involves failing the trials of honor, and you won't survive them. So either accept your role, or die trying to escape it." Jack groaned. "I just wanted to fix my engine and go home." Varelli smirked. "You should have thought of that before being a hero." Jack Carter sat on a throne made of crystal and metal. It was too big, too shiny, and definitely not meant for someone from Earth who liked greasy tools and hot noodles. He scratched his head. How did I end up in space? ... Engaged to an alien. Princess Varelli stood next to him, tall and calm. She wore golden armor, her long black hair tied behind her. She didn't smile. She didn't even look at Jack. She was angry. Not at him, though. "At the situation?" "You're making that face again," Jack said. "I am thinking," Varelli replied. "Thinking about how to kill me quietly or how to get out of this marriage." "Neither. I'm thinking how to keep my empire from collapsing." Jack blinked, right? No pressure. The news of the heroic Terran who saved Princess Varelli had spread fast. Well, too fast. The Zyrethian networks showed dramatic holograms of Jack carrying Varelli through fire. Lasers flying everywhere. None of it was real, of course. But the Empire loved it. Millions of aliens were cheering for their strange new royal consort. Paintings were already being made. One showed Jack with 6 arms holding up the princess like a god. He groaned. "I look like a space octopus in this one." Varelli stared at the image. "They see you as a symbol now. Brave, wild, pure-hearted." Jack laughed. "I'm a mechanic. I once fixed a toilet using duct tape and chewing gum. But not everyone was happy. In a secret meeting room inside the royal flagship, Varelli explained everything. The royal houses are divided. Some support my rise to the throne. Others think I'm too young, too soft. They saw me wounded and rescued by a Terran. Now they think I'm weak." Jack sat with a cup of alien tea in his hand. It tasted like mint and battery acid. "So, marry me and look strong again?" She nodded. "If I unite with you, they cannot question me. A life-debt marriage shows strength, honor." Jack leaned back, "And if I say no?" Varelli looked him in the eyes. "Then they'll think I was rejected by a human. I'll lose all support. The nobles will fight. Civil war will begin. Millions could die." Jack blinked. "Wow, you really know how to guilt-trip a guy." Jack tried to leave. He snuck into the docking bay at night, planning to steal a shuttle, but the guards were waiting. 10 of them, all armed, all very serious. "Sir Jack Carter, the captain," said, bowing slightly. "Apologies. Princess Varelli ordered us to protect you at all times." Jack groaned. "I don't need protection." "You are the future consort," the guard said. "Your life is too valuable." He escorted him back to his chambers like he was a VIP or a prisoner. Later that night, Jack sat alone in his room. It was bigger than his whole ship. There was a bed the size of a swimming pool. The walls changed color with his mood. The lights responded to his voice. Still, he felt trapped. Then the door opened. Whaley entered, holding a small device. "I found something," she said. Jack sat up. "Is it a way out?" "No," she said. "But maybe a third choice." She placed the device on the table. A hologram appeared, and appeared in text with blinking symbols. "This is the consort code," Varelli explained. "A bond can be rejected if the human fails the trials of worth." Jack's eyes lit up. "Trials? Like games?" She shook her head. No, they are tests of honor, strength, and intelligence. If you fail, the bond is broken. Perfect, Jack grinned. I'll just fail on purpose. Varelli frowned. That is dangerous. Failing the trials is not easy. Some do not survive. Jack stood up. Still better than being married by accident. She watched him, eyes unreadable. You're serious? It's a heart attack, Jack said. Bring on the space obstacle course. The next day, the entire Empire watched as Jack stood on a stone platform. Wearing borrowed armor and a confused smile, he was about to begin the trials of worth. 3 challenges. 3 chances to prove himself. Or fail and walk away. Behind the platform, nobles and soldiers sat watching. Varelli stood among them, arms crossed, face still. Just mess up, Jack whispered to himself. Do your worst, Carter. Trial 1. Combat Jack was handed a long staff with a glowing tip. Across from him stood a Zyrethian warrior 3 meters tall, covered in bone armor. Begin, the judge said. Jack tried to swing the staff like a baseball bat. He missed. The warrior charged. Jack panicked, dropped the staff, and threw a handful of dirt into the warrior's eyes. The alien roared and fell backward. Blinded, the crowd gasped. Vir Eli stood, shocked. He used elemental deception, one noble cried. A forgotten art. Another shouted, a true warrior thinks beyond weapons. The judge nodded. Victory to Jack Carter. Jack blinked. Wait, what? Trial 2. Intelligence Jack was taken into a glowing room filled with puzzles, alien language, and spinning. Platforms he had no idea what to do. He pressed random buttons, drew stick figures on glowing screens, and finally slammed the control panel with his hand. Suddenly, the puzzle reassembled into a perfect shape. Trial complete, the system said. The crowd went wild. Genius through instinct. Someone shouted, Chaos math, another said. Jack scratched his head. I literally guessed everything. Trial 3. Nobility Jack was placed in a garden with a crying Zyrethian child and a starving beast behind a cage. The test was simple. Feed the beast, or comfort the child. Only one. He split the food in half, fed the beast, and gave the other half to the child. Wrong answer, the judge said. Then the crowd stood. No, Varelli said softly. That was the right answer. The human balanced heart and wisdom.
Oh.
The judge looked at the audience, then nodded. He has passed. Jack groaned. Why does failing keep making me win? Later in private chambers, Jack paced the room. I tried everything to lose. And now they want to carve my face into the palace wall. Varelli sat on the balcony, sipping her glowing drink. You are unpredictable, she said.
I like that.
Jack stared at her. So what now? I passed the trials. Am I stuck forever? Varelli looked at him for a long moment. You can still walk away. Say the word and I will find another path. But they will never forget you. Jack sighed. You, she stood. I would remember you as the Terran who saved me, then stole the Empire's heart. Jack looked out at the stars. Guess I better see what the in-laws are like. Jack Carter stood in front of a mirror, wearing royal Zyrethian robes that made him feel like a walking fruit salad. Why is this collar so high? I can't even turn my neck, he muttered, tugging at the golden trim. The palace tailor hissed. Softly. Do not ruin the sacred wedding cloth, Consort Tubi. Jack gave him a look. Sacred or not, this thing feels like a shiny curtain. It had been 3 days since Jack accidentally passed the trials of worth. He had hoped to fail and go home, but instead, he had impressed the Zyrethian people so much that statues of him were now popping up across the Empire. One of them showed him holding a staff over his head, screaming. He hadn't screamed. He'd sneezed. Varelli hadn't said much since the trials. She was busy with politics, military meetings, and ceremonial nonsense. Jack was left alone, followed everywhere. By guards and servants. At first he thought it was nice. Free food, giant rooms, hot showers with 12 buttons. But now he felt trapped. Jack sat on the balcony that evening, looking at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, far away. He missed it, missed his quiet ship, his music, his boring, normal life. Then he heard the door open behind him. It was Varelli. "You're quiet," she said, sitting beside him, trying not to offend another religion. Jack replied with a grin. She looked at him. "You're not happy." "No offense, but I'm not really the marrying an alien princess type. I'm more of a drink coffee in a dented spaceship kind of guy." Varelli looked down. "I understand. But you passed the trials. You are now part of our culture. A symbol." Jack sighed. "There's gotta be a way out." She turned to him, serious now. "There is one more path," she said slowly. "But it is difficult." Jack sat up. "You had a secret path this whole time?" "It's not a secret," she said. "It's just extreme. Tell me. It's called the Trials of Disgrace. If you can convince the people you are truly unworthy, not just weak, but shameful, they will demand the bond be broken. No war, no dishonor." "But," Jack leaned in, "but what?" "If you fail again," she said, "they will think your mistakes are acts of genius. You will become more famous than ever." Jack stood up, fists clenched. "Sounds perfect. Let's fail our way to freedom." Trial 1, the sacred duel. Jack stood in an arena surrounded by 20,000 screaming Zerethians. His opponent this time was a high-born noble with 6 arms and a glowing sword. Jack held frying pan. Varelli watched from the royal box, her face calm but her eyes worried. Jack smiled. This should be easy. The match started. The noble charged. Jack held up the frying pan and tripped over his own foot. He fell forward, accidentally slamming the frying pan into the noble's knee. The crowd gasped. The noble dropped his sword, howled in pain, and fell silence. Then cheering, loud wild cheering. The Terran uses low posture combat, one announcer shouted. Brilliant unbalancing strategy. Another yelled. Varelli put her face in her hands. Jack sat on the arena floor, groaning. "I was just trying to fall on my face." Trial 2. The meal of disrespect. This one was easy. Jack was told to prepare a sacred Zerethian meal for the high priest. It was a test of respect and cultural knowledge. He grabbed some of Earth's worst food, canned beans, hot sauce, and gummy worms. He dumped it all into a bowl and lit it on fire. "Bon appétit," he said with a bow. The priest took a bite. He froze. Jack smiled. "Disgusting, right?" Then the priest stood, eyes wide. "It's divine." "What?" "The fusion of sweet and spice. It speaks of universal chaos, a new religion." Within minutes, Terran flame stew was trending across the empire. A statue of Jack holding a spoon was announced by nightfall. Trial 3. The Song of Unity. Jack was told to sing a Zerethian hymn during the ceremony. He didn't learn it. Instead, he brought out an old Earth instrument, a kazoo. He hummed a broken version of the anthem through it. Off-key and off-rhythm. People stared. He grinned. One small child stood up and clapped, then another. And suddenly, the crowd was dancing. He thought it was some new Tehran musical revolution. The royal musicians begged him for lessons. By the end of the day, Jack Carter had failed in every way he could imagine, and somehow, each failure made him more popular. The people loved him even more. They called him the wise fool of the stars. That night, Varelli came to his chambers again. "You are now more loved than ever," she said, sitting down across from him. Jack sighed. "I tripped, cooked garbage, and played a kazoo." "How is that impressive? You do not follow our ways." She said, "You are strange, unpredictable. That frightens the nobles, but the people, they love it. You are honest, wild, free." "I don't want to be a symbol," he said. "I just want to go home." Varelli looked at him. Her face was softer now. "I wanted the bond to stop a war," she said. "But now, I see something else." Jack raised an eyebrow. "What?" She stood and walked to the balcony. "When I was a child, I thought love was weakness. I thought duty was everything. But you risked your life for a stranger. You helped without gain. And you stayed honest in a world of liars." Jack was quiet. Viorelli turned to him. If you still want to leave, I won't stop you. I'll find a way to cover it. You'll be safe. Jack stood beside her, looking at the stars. He thought of Earth then. He thought of the chaos he'd caused here, and the strange way people had responded. No one on Earth ever built a statue of him. I don't know if I belong here, he said softly. But I don't think I fit back home anymore either. Viorelli didn't say anything. She just waited. Jack looked at her. I'll stay, he said. Not because I passed your tests or tripped into greatness, but because I think there's more to this story. I want to see how it ends. Jack Carter had been in space long enough to stop checking if he was dreaming. He'd gone from fixing old cargo ships to walking down royal hallways, being called Consort Jack by aliens in silver armor. He had passed the trials. Twice. By accident, he had a statue, a dish named after him, a following of fans who thought he was some wild genius from a chaotic planet. But none of that made him comfortable. In fact, it made him nervous because behind the cheering, the fame, and the golden halls of Xerethia, something felt wrong. Something dark was growing in the shadows. Jack was walking through the palace gardens one evening when a soft whisper stopped him. Taryn turned. A figure in a black robe stood beneath a glowing tree, as the figure was. Tall, face hidden, voice robotic. You are being watched, it said. Jack blinked. Okay, creepy start. Who are you? No time. There is a plan to remove the princess from power, or from life. The words chilled Jack. The figure handed him a small crystal chip. Play this when you are alone, and forget we met. Then gone. The figure melted into the shadows like smoke. Jack stared at the chip in his hand. This day just got weirder, back in his room. Jack placed the chip into a small holo reader. A projection appeared. A secret meeting recorded from a distance. 7. High-ranking nobles sat around a table, one of them a general Jack had met just yesterday. This wedding must end, the general said. The Terran makes her look weak. We cannot let her rule. We wait until the ceremony, said another, then strike. No one will suspect a thing. Jack's eyes went wide. They were planning to kill Viorelli. On the wedding day, he stood up, heart racing. He had to stop it. Jack rushed through the halls, pushing past confused guards and servants. He needed to get to Viorelli. When he entered the war room, she was standing over a map of the Empire, speaking with advisors. She turned as he entered. Jack. We have a problem, he said, tossing her the crystal chip. She caught it, scanned it. Her face went pale. This is real? She asked. I met someone in the garden. They gave it to me. One's planning to kill you at the wedding. Viorelli turned to her guards. Seal this room. No one leaves. Her voice was ice. She dismissed the advisors and turned back to Jack. If this is true, she said, then my enemies are bolder than I thought. You trust me now? Jack asked. She looked at him. I always did, but now I need your help. He blinked. I'm not a soldier. I'm just a guy with a wrench and bad luck. She smiled, just a little. That's exactly what they won't expect. That night they formed a secret plan. No one could be told, not even Viorelli's closest generals. The risk of betrayal was too high. The wedding would go on. The nobles would think everything was normal. And Jack would act like the clueless earth fool everyone believed he was. In the background, he would search, spy, and stop the assassination before it happened. It was a crazy plan, which made it perfect for Jack. The day of the wedding, the palace shone, brighter than ever. Floating ships hovered above, releasing petals made of light. Millions watched across the empire. Jack wore a golden robe and a nervous smile. Viorelli stood tall beside him, wearing armor stitched with ancient symbols. Her face was calm. Jack leaned over. Sure I don't look like a fancy banana? You look acceptable, she whispered back. Behind them stood rows of nobles. Jack scanned their faces. He had studied the holo recording carefully. The general, the one who led the plot, stood there, smiling like nothing was wrong. Jack had a small communicator in his ear, connected only to Viorelli. Keep your eyes open, she whispered through it. Trust me, Jack replied. Nothing ruins a wedding like laser fire. As the ceremony began, Jack made his move. He slipped away during a bow, pretending to sneeze. The guards didn't stop him. He was the Terran fool, after all. He followed one of the nobles down a side hallway. The man moved fast, clearly up to something. Jack ducked behind a statue. He watched as the noble opened a hidden panel on the wall and pulled out a glowing sphere bomb. Jack's eyes widened. He jumped out and tackled the noble. The bomb rolled away. The noble punched him hard, sending him into a wall. "You don't belong here, human," the noble hissed. "I get that a lot." Jack coughed, then headbutted the alien in the chest. The noble fell. Dazed, Jack grabbed the bomb and ran. He called Varelli on the come. "One down?" "He had a bomb." "Understood," she said. "There may be more." Jack didn't stop. He checked every hallway, every suspicious figure. In the gardens, he found a disguised guard carrying a sniper rifle. He tripped him using a garden hose. In the kitchen, a cook tried to slip poison into the wedding drink. Jack tackled him into a pile of cake batter. He was covered in frosting by the time he got back to the ceremony. "Consort Jack," someone cried. Late, Jack held up a piece of poisoned cake, saving lives. Again. As the final vows began, the general, the one Jack had been watching, moved toward the stage. Jack stepped in his path. "Going somewhere, General?" Jack said. The general sneered. "Out of the way, Terran." Jack held out his hands. "Me guess, you think I'm a joke? A lucky clown from a backwards planet?" "You are a stain on our throne," the general growled. "Then clean me up," Jack said. The general lunged. Jack ducked, grabbed a decorative staff, and smacked him. In the side, the general grabbed a blade from his sleeve. They fought right there on the edge of the ceremony. Guests screamed. Guards moved. But Varelli didn't flinch. She shouted, "Do not interfere." Jack dodged a strike, then threw the poisoned cake into the general's face. The crowd gasped. The general slipped and fell, dropping the blade. Jack kicked it away. Guards finally moved in and arrested him. Later, after everything calmed, Varelli stood before the crowd. "This man," she said, pointing to Jack, "has saved my life not once but many times. He is not just a consort. He is proof that courage does not need noble blood." Jack stood beside her, wiping cake from his hair. The crowd erupted in cheers. That night, the two of them stood alone on the balcony. "You were right," Varelli said. "You don't belong here." Jack looked at her. She smiled. "You belong beyond here," meaning you don't need a throne or a title. "You change things by being you. Honest, strange, brave." He chuckled. "So what now?" She looked out at the stars. "Now we rewrite the story." Together, Jack put his arm around her shoulder. "Fine, but I'm not wearing that robe again." The galaxy watched as Jack Carter became a symbol, not just of unity between Earth and Zarethia, but of something bigger. A message that courage didn't come from bloodlines or titles, but from simple people who stood up when it mattered. After stopping an assassination at his own wedding, Jack had gone from Terran fool to star defender in the eyes of many. Across the stars, people painted murals of him. Little kids in distant colonies wore paper crowns and called themselves Jack the Brave. Jack thought it was ridiculous, but he didn't hate it. The palace buzzed with energy after the wedding. Nobles bowed to Jack now, even if they still whispered behind his back. Varelli had tightened security and begun reshaping how the empire worked. Less power to greedy lords, more focus on the people. Jack didn't understand all the politics, but he knew one thing. Varelli wasn't just strong. She was smart and kind. Even when no one was looking, one quiet morning, Jack sat on a balcony, sipping alien tea that tasted like mint and fire. Varelli joined him, dressed in silver armor and a tired smile. "You sleep at all?" Jack asked. "An hour? Maybe." "2." He glanced at her. "You're burning yourself out." "The empire needs rebuilding," she said softly. "My people need me to be strong. They also need you alive," he replied. They were quiet a moment, then Varelli turned to him. "Jack, have you thought about staying?" He blinked. "Do you mean not just as my consort, but but as a leader. A voice for Terrence in the Empire. We've had humans visit before, but none have done what you've done. Jack leaned back in his chair. He had thought about it, in small moments, between explosions, fake rituals, and secret missions he liked. Xyrethia more than he expected. The food wasn't terrible. The people were strange but warm, and Varelli. She had grown on him. Still a part of him missed Earth. The stars looked different here. The silence in space was louder when you weren't sure where home was anymore. Before he could answer, a guard rushed in. Your Majesty. Urgent message from Deep Outpost 9. Long-range sensors have detected a breach in the void. Varelli stood. The void? Jack raised an eyebrow. That sounds dramatic. It is, Varelli said, voice tense. Come with me. They entered the war room. A giant hologram displayed a distant sector of space. Glitches danced across the image. The void is where no star shines, the general explained. Dead space. Silent. Until now. The image zoomed in. A black mass, long and sharp like a scar, moved across the darkness. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. Alive. Double quotes is that. Breathing. Jack asked. The general nodded. Not metal. It's organic. And it's massive. Another officer spoke up. It released a signal. Strange code. Unreadable. Till now. The room went silent. The signal played. It wasn't a message. It was laughter. Cold. Broken. Echoing. Varelli stared at the image. Something ancient has woken. Over the next 2 days, chaos rippled through the Empire. Outposts went dark. Ships vanished. Entire moons stopped sending signals. People panicked.
Ouch.
Some said it was an ancient god. Others claimed it was a weapon. From before time, Jack sat in a strategy meeting where everyone spoke in fast alien terms and shook their heads. We're not ready for this, the lead scientist said. Jack stood up. Then maybe it's time for something different. They looked at him. He pointed to the screen. You all think like empires. Like armies. But that thing, it doesn't care about borders or power, just wants to consume. What do you suggest? Varelli asked. Jack took a breath. We don't fight it like a war. We survive it like a storm. Jack proposed an idea. No one liked it first. Evacuate colonies, build traps. Lure the creature into a sector filled with ancient mines. And unstable stars, not to kill it, but to trap it, to buy time, to learn. He called it the burn box. A giant cage of light and gravity. You can't trap something that size. One noble said. Jack replied, You ever seen a mouse caught in a soda can? You'd be surprised what chaos and a bit of human junk can do. With Varelli's support, the plan moved forward. Jack personally flew to several colonies, helping evacuate people and place fake signals to lure the beast. He wasn't a soldier, but he worked like one. Hard, fast. Without sleep, the creature moved closer each day. Giant. Dark, wrong, it whispered into coms. Made engineers cry. Made machines fail. But Jack didn't stop. He couldn't. Finally, the burn box was ready. Varelli and Jack stood aboard a command ship. Watching the sensors, it's entering the trap zone, the officer said. Jack clenched. His fists. All charges set? Yes, consort. Jack looked at Varelli. You sure about this? If it fails, we run. If it works, we survive. Jack took a breath. Do it. The stars around the creature lit up. Massive energy bursts created artificial gravity wells. Pulling the beast inward, the creature screamed not with sound, but with gravity and code and something older than time. Jack felt it in his bones. Then, silence. They waited. 1 hour, 2, no movement. The creature was trapped. The Empire, what was left of it, rejoiced. Back on Xyrethia, Jack stood alone in the gardens. Varelli found him there. You did it, she said. We did it, he replied. She touched his shoulder. Now, I'll ask again. Will you stay? Jack looked at the stars. He missed Earth. But Earth had never made him feel needed. Not like this. Not like her. I'll stay, he said. But only on one condition. She smiled. Name it. No more royal robes, he said. I get. To cook dinner once a week? She laughed. Deal. That night, under twin moons and quiet stars, Jack Carter sat beside the alien princess he never meant to help, and realized, sometimes home isn't where you're born, it's where you choose to stand.